Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm T with Teresa H Creates, and this video is going to be all about December dailies. And you will want to stay tuned to the end of the video for a special announcement. I put a poll up on my channel asking viewers if they would be interested in a December daily, and it was an overwhelming yes, you would be. And I also had some questions about what is a December daily. So I thought that I would explain what a December daily is and then also explain how I want to organize my December daily. So December daily started more than a decade ago with Allie Edwards, and it's a way of documenting every day in December. It was a combination of scrapbooking and journaling. You might have seen them. They're those albums that you can get, and they have the plastic inserts that have the little sleeves, and you can put pictures and photos and things in, and you journal in all of them, and kind of like a Project Life type style. And it's still very popular today. I know that there are lots of different ways that people do their December dailies. And so I wanted to just introduce the way I want to do a December daily to see if you want to participate with me. So I've created a couple of small junk journal books. I'm going to show you how I put this together in this video. So let's get started making one similar to this. I did go ahead and cut down some of my papers just to make this process a little bit easier and quicker. I am starting with a file folder base. I love these little score lines here that allow the file folder to expand. This is perfect for a junk journal. And I am going to go ahead and give that a burnish. I want to make sure that these are nice and scored. This will be the spine of our junk journal. And then again here, okay. And I want to make sure that I fold it, crease it on that middle score line. And then I'm going to cut this down to 8 by 6 because that's just the size that I prefer. You can make yours as large or as small as you want. But here we go. I am not going to include this spine in the measurement. So it's going to be 6 inches from the score line. Give that a cut, and then 8 inches. So if you have a file folder that you can use, fantastic. If you do not have a file folder, you can create this same look with a really thin cardboard and then just going in and scoring your little sections. So this is 1 inch across. So if you wanted to create something similar, then you could go ahead and take a large piece of thin cardboard and score it with your 1 inch spine. I don't need all of this, so I'm going to cut this in half. And I'm going to add this piece of tape here. This is binding tape. I want to reinforce the spine because this isn't going to be super thick. If you do not have binding tape, don't worry about it. You can use packing tape or washi tape. If you do use washi tape, then you will want to glue it down. I'll burnish it and then give it a good cut. Trim off that excess. Now it does make this a little bit stiff, so I'm going to go in and reinforce those score lines again. So let's go center line and then outside here. Just reinforcing this because, again, adding that binding tape can make it a little bit stiff. And I'm going to do this throughout the process to make sure that our spine is nice and bendy. All right, let's go ahead and cover it. So here is the outside of our spine. The paper that I'm using for this project is Simple Stories, Mix and a Mingle, and it is from 2022. This is such a cute collection. I'll flip through some of the pages that aren't in the journal just so that you can kind of see what that looks like. I've already pulled out the pages that I'm using in the journal. All right, now let's go ahead and cover our base. So what I did is take a 12 by 12 sheet of paper and I cut it down to 9 inches because this is an 8-inch folder and I wanted a 1/2 inch on each side to overlap so that I can fold it over. And then I cut it down in 6 inches exactly. So I cut it 6 inches exactly because that's all I had. All I had was 6 inches in the 12 by 12. I did not have a second sheet of paper in this, so I couldn't do one sheet and have it overlap. So you'll notice that when we put it down, there is going to be a gap so that we can have the 1/2 inch for folding it over. You'll understand as I start putting it together, but I just wanted you to know. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to mark about 1/2 inch so I know where to put my tape. I'm going to do it on the other side as well. So from the score line on the far edge, I'm going to do 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch, and it'll all be fine. This just helps me know where to put my tape. So I'm going to start putting down my 1 inch double-sided tape. And while I'm going through this process, I will tell you about my idea for our December daily. I do not typically journal. I love creating journals for other people, but I don't journal myself. And I would like to start journaling. And I think that a December daily is perfect. I absolutely love Christmas and would love to start documenting more of my memories. So I want to use this December daily as a combination of documenting Christmas this year, but also I'll have some prompts for themed pages. So if you want to document and work along with me, that's fantastic. If you're not interested in the actual scrapbooking, documenting type of journaling and you really want to just do the prompts, I will have daily prompts that will contain a theme for each day on how we decorate the page. So there's really 3 ways that you can do it. You can either document your Christmas by scrapbooking and collecting all of your little memories. You can not scrapbook and just follow along with the prompts and decorate your pages according to the prompts, or you can do a combination of both. You can document your day and then also include elements from the prompt. And I hope that makes sense. It'll make sense as we go along. Now, I am not releasing the prompts ahead of time. All right, so we're going to put this down right on that line. We want to make sure we have roughly 1/2 inch on each side so that we can fold this over. I'm going to give it a good burnish because that's what needs to happen anytime you put these pages down. You want to make sure that everything is nice and adhered, and it's going to stay put. There we go. I'm not going to release the list of prompts ahead of time. I have this little bucket and it's already full of prompts, and what we'll do is we'll choose them a few at a time. So what I mean by that is I'm not going to come on and record every single day. I'll have certain days of the week that I'll release videos, but what we'll do at the end of the video is we'll go ahead and we'll draw the prompts for the next few days. And that way you can work ahead. I'll work on 1 or 2 of those prompts in the next video, and then we'll select the prompts at the end of that video for the next few days. And I hope that that makes sense. It will as we go along. I don't want it to be overwhelming. These are very basic prompts, just your basic typical Christmas prompts. Okay, I want to make sure that this is the right way. So here we go. All right, right side up. Yep. Going to put this down on those little lines that I made with the pencil and make sure that I'm overlapping about 1/2 inch. Perfect. And then we'll burnish this down. So if you're a newbie, this is totally perfect for you. It's going to be very basic. There's nothing complicated about what we're doing. It shouldn't be stressful. It should just be a lot of fun. The prompts themselves should be very easy for you to work with. It should be stuff that you have in your stash. So you don't need a lot of new stuff for this. Now, we're going to fold over these edges. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to miter these corners. And the way I like to do this is I'm going to go in a little bit. I'm going to get close to that edge, but kind of skate past it, turn my scissors a little bit, and then there we go. So I'm kind of just carving out a little notch, and it's just the way that I like to do it. Again, in and there. They have tools. I've mentioned this before. They do have tools for mitering these corners perfectly. If you want a tool, then by all means, I think that they're helpful. I've been able to do this without a tool for many years, so definitely not necessary. All right, now that we've got those corners mitered, we're going to go in and we're going to fold up these edges just a little bit because they're going to fold over. And so I want to get kind of a bend going here. Let's see. There we go. And then one more. There we go. All right, now I'm going to come in and reinforce these bends and give them a good burnish. So I really do think that this is the perfect project if you're new. And like I said, it's going to be things like, you know, stars, holly, mistletoe, presents. It'll be very basic, simple things. So we're not going to get crazy with our prompts, but I would love to see how everybody kind of interprets the prompt and then what you do with it. Okay. Now I'm going to take a thinner piece of double-sided tape. I believe this is my 1/4 inch. And I'm going to apply a piece to every single side. This journal. I hope that you decide that you would like to join me. And if you want to join me, but you're like, you know what, I don't know that I can make my own journal, you don't have to use a journal like this. You do not have to use the same journal that I am using. This is just to give those of you who want to use something similar an opportunity to make one of your own before we get started. Let's get all this tape burnished down. Now I'm going to start with the top and the bottom. I'm going to remove the tape, apply wet adhesive, and I'm going to fold them over, and then I'll fold over the sides. And I'm telling you that now because I'll be talking through all of this. So just want to make sure you understand what it is that I am doing. So if you're intimidated by making a journal like this and you're just not ready to do this, there are other options. I would recommend maybe starting with a spiral notebook or one of the composition books that you can get at the dollar store or Walmart. I know that the paper in those is pretty thin, but if you want to make them thicker, you could glue 2 pages together and then you can remove a few pages. That way it's not too bulky by the end of it because you're going to be adding stuff in. But a composition book is the perfect way to go. You can decorate the cover and the pages. You don't have to mess with the binding, but the prep on that would look a little bit different. Like I said, you're going to glue a couple of pages together just for the extra sturdiness because you're going to be adding stuff to those pages. And I don't think that one sheet would necessarily hold up very well for front and back decoration. I'm going to go in and burnish this, make sure everything is down. If you're a little bit more advanced and you don't want to do a little small journal like I'm using here and you've got an altered book, then go altered book style. That would be fun too. Maybe you've got something with a nice Christmas theme cover and you want to use that type of book. I think an altered book December daily would be really cute, especially if it was like Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol or something of that nature. You can also use an altered little golden book. I have a ton of those. So many Christmas themed altered little golden books. They're just so much fun. I absolutely love them. And they really help showcase not only the little stories, but they help showcase all the wonderful papers, all those beautiful papers. So let me show you. I think I've got one on my shelf. Yep. So here's one that I'm working on. I did this as a quick tutorial back in July. So, isn't it cute? Very small, very cute. I need to finish that off. Let me put that back. Now we've got our inserts. I think I want to do this green. I'm really liking this color palette. So these I cut down because we're 8 by 6, and I cut these down to 5 1/4. I didn't have to. That's just what I cut them down to, 5 1/4. And so I'm going to leave them about 1/4 inch from the edge, and you'll notice it doesn't go all the way to the end, but that's fine. It's not going to matter. So I cut them down to 5 1/4, and this is 8 inches, and I think it was 7 3/4. So 7 3/4 by 5 1/4, just in case you're doing this with me. Let's move our cover aside for a second. I'm gonna go ahead and put tape down on the backs of these. The tape and wet glue combo is not necessary. It's just something that I like to do. A tried and true method that I know absolutely works. But by all means, if you just wanted to use glue, you can. If you just want to use tape, you can. But once it's down, it's down. It's not coming up. So applying wet glue on top of this double-sided tape allows me to move it around if I need to for just a second before it's stuck. So if I needed to reposition something, I can. But the combination of the two adhesives means that it is going to stay. So let's pull this back out, pull these off. I'm going to apply glue on them, and then I'm going to place them very carefully on the inside covers of our journal. I do have a community page, and I have opened it up. So I am hoping that while we go through this process, for those of you who are joining me, that you will post photos in my community tab of the items that you're working on. And if you choose not to participate in the December daily, but you are crafting in December and you would like to post photos of your crafts, please feel free to do so. I would love to connect more with all of you. And I think it'll be a lot of fun. I would really like to see what a lot of you are creating and what you're doing, what it is that you're working on. Good inspiration. So I do encourage you to post in that community tab. I absolutely love this little collection. This is so cute. And then about 1/4 inch all the way around, and there we go. Look at that, how cute. It came together very quickly. It's super cute. Now let's put the spine on. I bought a ton of this. It's just cotton fabric, and I wanted to use it for this project. I'm going to have this overlap a little bit. So if I do 3 inches, it's going to come over quite a bit. So let's do 3 inches. I'm going to be super awkward here. I'm going to give it a little snip right here with my fabric scissors, and then I'm going to just tear. And I am going to wrap it around. We're going to go all the way around. I won't need all of this, so I'm going to trim it right about there. And then if I need to trim more, I can. All right, so if I fold over, I can tell that I am not lined up. Let's kind of line this up center-ish. I'm going to use my silicone brush and my Fabri-Tac to put this down. And I'm going to go ahead and start on the inside. Doesn't need to go up super far, and you'll notice that I'm only putting this down in the center spot because I'm leaving the rest of it unglued. And I'll show you what that looks like when we're done. And if you prefer to have yours glued all the way to the edge, then by all means do that. Okay, now that that's on, I'm going to come to this side, and I'm going to work my way up the spine in small increments, because this Fabri-Tac dries very quickly. I'm also going to smooth it out. If you have large clumps of glue, a lot of times it will bleed through on the fabric, and then you'll see them on the outside of the fabric, and we want to avoid that as much as possible. So that's why I smooth out the glue. Hope you guys are excited about this. I'm kind of excited now. Christmas will be fun. All right, I'm going to fast forward through the rest of this so you don't have to just sit here and watch me glue. Easy breezy. If you do not have fabric, please do not feel like you have to go out and buy fabric. If you've got a nice wide piece of lace, you could also put lace in there for the spine. You just want something nice and flexible. If you have tissue paper, putting tissue paper over that entire section, just kind of collaging it over. You don't even have to do it in like one strip. You could collage it and that would be perfect. So there are other things that you can do. I'm going to trim up some of these. I do like it rough on the edges. That's why I did rip it instead of cutting it. But you might have to do a bit of trimming. All right, now that we've got this on though, we're going to go back in and we're going to reinforce that spine again. Let's get those grooves. And this is the part where you can tell that I wasn't exactly on the mark. But that is fine. It's fine. Okay, and there we go. There is our junk journal. Okay, so I did leave this loose. I left it loose on all of them, see? And I just kind of liked the extra texture it gave, just the extra looseness. If you didn't like it though, glue it all the way down for sure. That was just a decision I made last minute, but I could always go in there with my silicone brush and a little bit of glue and adhere it flat. And it's the same on the inside. I've got that little bit of a loose panel, not a problem. So let's talk about signatures. So some December dailies will go just until Christmas. So you'll have 1 through 25 days. And then some of them will be the entire month of December. So 1 through 31. I'm going to do the entire month of December. So mine will be 1 through 31. So I want to make sure that I have at least 31 spots. So this will be my intro page. And then there will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This was just extra I wanted to add. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I'm not including the center because I included pockets for extra stuff. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, we're skipping this one, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, and then 33. Not a problem. We have a little bit extra. This means that if we had a day where it was particularly busy, say Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, or there was a huge function and you had lots of pictures, you can double up and you could do that on 1 or 2 events. Or at the end, what I plan on doing is a wrap up on that last page of things I'm looking forward to in 2026. So just giving you some ideas. And I did include spots for adding extra bits, but then I've also got just this fun little page. I just liked it and it was a half page and I thought, you know, I wanted to add it in there for just a little extra something. So each one of mine has that little half page and I just don't count it in the page count. So you're going to want to make sure that when you're putting your signature together, you have enough days to account for 1 through 25 or 1 through 31, whichever way you would like to participate. So here are our signature pages, and most of them I did go ahead and cut. I have not scored them, but we will do that together. We'll score those and put them together. And these pages, I did these at 7 7/8, so a little bit over 7 3/4. So these are 7 7/8 by 5 3/4. So again, that's 7 7/8 by 5 3/4. All I did this, I'm using 12 by 12 paper, so I just took 1/2 inch off and then fold it in half. So it was 11 1/2 inches. Kind of like this way. It's pretty. Look at that. I absolutely love this paper collection. It is adorable. All right. And then this will be our center page. This is our pocket. I'm going to go ahead and trim it down. All right. So right now it is 12 by 11.5. And this is how we're going to create our pocket. Yes, I'm going to fold up this way because if I did it this way and folded that way, these would be upside down and we don't want those to be upside down. So there we go. You could use your scoreboard for this. I would recommend that you probably did use your scoreboard for this. But let's see here. Let's give it a little mark about there. So I know where I'm going to be folding. Look. All right, I'm gonna fold it up. There we go. And then we're also going to fold across. We're gonna fold this in half. There we go. All right, so this is what our pocket looks like. Now, I don't want to put it in there with this pocket in the center like this. I am going to cut a little bit of a notch here. So what I'm going to do is fold it back this direction. And from the center point here, I'm going to angle up and just cut a little bit of a triangle off of this. So now when we open this up, we've got a little bit of a separation here. So let's go ahead and attach our pockets. I'm only going to do the outside. And again, just this outside edge. I want to leave the inside of this open so you could put quite a bit in there if you wanted to. All right, so here is our center. Let's pull of our pages out. Get all of these pages out here. And let's organize these. Oh, let me put this page here next to all that red. And then we'll add this guy. All right, here we go. This sheet and our music paper. And then there we go. All right, so what is common is that as you start stacking in pages from your signature, we cut these all the same length, but they're pushing outward. So as you get towards the center, they're going to stick out a little more. If you want to take yours and trim it, you can. If you have a large cutter like my guillotine cutter, it actually would trim all of that. Or you can take your straight edge and a box cutter or X-Acto knife, and you can cut through and trim it up so that it's all even. I have plenty of room in my journal because we have this nice little 1/2 inch here that we didn't account for in our measurement. So mine fits perfectly well. I'm going to leave it like this. I'm not going to trim it up and trim it even. And honestly, it's just a personal preference. It's just your personal aesthetic. I know that I'm probably going to put ribbon trim and stuff on this book. So at the end of the day, they're going to be varying lengths anyway. So I'm not worried about it right now. That isn't a concern. Okay. I've got it together though. So let me pull out my binding stuff. All of my book binding tools. All I did was take an extra piece of that file folder. I cut it down to 8 inches, folded it in half, folded it in half again, and then folded this up. So then at this top crosshatch, there's one, the very center, and then the one from the bottom. So this is going to be my guide, my template. So again, half, half, and then up. Okay, so I'm about 1 inch from the top, inch from the bottom, and then right in the center. But that helps you get a good measurement. And again, I did fold that in half, but you want to make sure that your length matches the length of your spine. All right, so I'm going to reinforce this edge again and make sure that this sits right in that scored line, because we want those holes to go right down that center score. I'm using my piercing book. I'm going to leave it at an angle, make sure it's in there nice and tight. I'm going to give it some punches here. And then let's see. And we got them lined up right on that line. Perfect. Now I'm going to go back in. And I'm going to go in just a little bit more to make those holes a little bit bigger, because I know that I'm going to need to get my needle through those. All right, now I'm going to put my signature back together here, line it up, make sure it's nice and even. Then I'm going to go through with my bone folder, and I'm really going to give it a press right down the center, because I don't want a lot of space in here. I really want it to be close to the spine as possible. Now I'm going to clip it with my binder clips to make sure everything stays in place. And this is just a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. The signature is slightly shorter than the spine, so I want to make sure it's nice and even. And let's see, we got it in there good. It's good. I'm going to go in and make these holes a little bit bigger for my needle. There we go. All right, I've got my waxed thread. We're going to do 3 lengths the journal. 1, 2, and 3. We're going to thread it up. And if you know how to do a 3-hole pamphlet stitch, then by all means skip this. We're going to go right through that center hole. We're going to make sure we leave a little bit of a tail. Then we're going to go right through this center hole. I'm going to hold on to that so I don't pull it out. All right, we're going to go back through the spine this way. Can we get it? Nope. Keep missing. There we go. Kept going behind it. Let's pull that in a little bit. Okay, now we're going to go all the way up to the top and right through that hole at the top. All right, let's go ahead and pull all of this tight. Now I'm going to hold this down. I've got it pulled tight, and I'm going to hold the string down. We're going to go right back through the center, but I want to make sure that I don't pierce this thread. All right. Okay, and we want this thread, we want them on opposite sides of the string in the center. I'm going to pull them tight, as tight as I can. The string is pretty tight. We're good on the outside. All right, so I'm going to tie it like I would a tennis shoe, and then I'm going to go the opposite direction. So a granny knot. I'm going to leave the strings because I'm not sure what I'm going to do with those. Let's go ahead and take these off. And there we go. There's our journal. The only other thing that I wanted to do is add a cute little pocket on the inside. So I added this pocket here, and I added this one here. It's on either side of this. So let's go ahead and pick a piece of paper and we'll add a pocket. So let's find something that's going to look nice with this. We did candy canes. You know what? I like this, just that nice pop of red. So let's do that. I have so much stuff laying around and I'm not sure what I did. There's my ruler. All right, let me see. How did I measure these out? I want to say this was 4.5 by 6. All right, so I cut this. At 4.5 by 6. I'm just going to put them together. Let me bring my guillotine out here. I'm going to line this up at the 1-inch mark on this corner. And then I lined it up at the 3/4 inch down here and trimmed it. And there we go. Now we've got 2 pockets. All right, so let's open this up. And we will add this pocket here. Yes, that nice pop of red. Looks fantastic. All right, and on the other side, we're going to go down and across. There's a lot more room on this side than the other side. I was going into the fabric, so you might want to measure yours. I measured the ones that I'd already cut, but when you do this, you want to measure the space that you have in the book for sure, because I did have a little bit more room on that back side than I did on this front side. All right, so let's go ahead and wrap this up. So between now and December 1st, I'm going to put out another video where we're going to go ahead and start working on journaling cards and tags for our journals. That way we can save some time when we're actually working on our journals, and we'll have some things already ready to go as far as ephemera goes and journaling space and that type of thing. So I'll have an ephemera making video sometime between today and November 29th. And then on the 29th of November, we will record our first video where we decorate our intro page and we go ahead and select our prompt. And then on December 2nd will be our first December daily video where we'll decorate for prompt 1, and then we'll select our prompts for the next few days. So I hope all of that makes sense. There are some more instructions for the journal. I'm going to save that for our video on the 29th because this one is already run a little bit too long. But what I would like to do is tell you about the special announcement that I have. So one of these journals is my journal. One of them is for my mother. And then the third one I would love to give out to a subscriber. So the rules are you have to be a subscriber to my channel. You have to like the video. You have to live in the continental United States just for postage and to make sure that this actually gets to you on time. And you have to respond Santa in the comments section before 11:59 on Tuesday, November 18th. The giveaway closes at the end of the day on the 18th, and then I will draw a name randomly for anybody who did all of those steps, and then I will notify that person if they have won the journal. So hopefully that makes sense. I'll put all of the details in the description box just in case you want to go check that out there. But I'm looking forward to this. I'm very excited about December Daily. Thanks for spending some time with me, and until next time, bye.